First up then, we will have an innovation case study. We've got Anvar and Matt from Kepler and Adaptive respectively. Over to you guys.
Thank you. Right, good morning, everybody. My name is Matt Barrett. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of a company called Adaptive. I'm very proud to be one of the sponsors here today. Anvar,
Yeah, hi everyone. Sorry, I'm just pouring myself some water here.
Sorry, I really.
Yeah, for those who don't know me, I'm Anvar Karimson. I'm the CTO for Kepler Cheuvreux. Been in the business of building trading systems for well over 15 years now. And you know, when Matt and I started talking about this case study, what really excited me was to be able to give you a more sort of balanced overview. We're not here just to talk about all the sort of things that went well. We're also talking about the challenges we faced and you know how the process was from start to finish. And if you don't know, if you haven't seen our press releases, we actually engaged with Adaptive to build a brand new event-driven trading system. It's now running in production, and hence we want to talk about it.
Fantastic, exactly that. Why don't we start with a little bit of the background to Kepler, your role at Kepler, and why you started thinking about, to echo the panel that we heard just before the break, building, not buying.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, what we really saw from clients was this drive to innovate, the agility. So previously, you know, maybe we got a few changes here and there, but now we just saw the pace of change increase and the demands of clients increase. And for us, to keep up and ideally stay ahead, we knew that we needed a new system. The other thing was integration, really, because as many firms, we built up a whole catalog of different trading components, different trading systems. And the time we spent on keeping them synchronized was just getting a little bit too prohibitive for our liking. And it was impacting our ability to deliver change, our ability to maintain resiliency. And so that was also a driver. And finally, talking about resiliency, as you know, today we have virtually no margin of error for when it comes to trading system resiliency. We needed a system we understood front to back, a system we could manage, and a system we could grow with.
Fantastic. And what we like to think of as bringing to the relationship, bringing to the partnership was, and we'll talk more about it as we go through, but to help people understand, we have a trading technology platform, an underlying platform that enables our clients to build on top exactly the solution that they want. So we're not a provider of point solutions, as it were. Instead, we have an underlying technology platform built on top of open source software known as Aeron. We have a platform called Hydra that Kepler have taken and are now building a whole suite of, in some case, replacement, in some case, new front office cap markets infrastructure, right? One of the ways that we engage with our clients is through services. So we're a bit of a hybrid organization. Our history, we've been around for 12 years. We were first and foremost a software consultancy, building trading systems and trading infrastructure for our clients and handing it over to them. Our first client was Deutsche Bank. Our second client was JP Morgan. And delivering into those firms is mainly an exercise in navigating their internal existing real estate, digital real estate, building point solutions that plug in with what they've got, and then handing over what was built to their internal teams to be run in production with they will have 24/7 global teams distributed all around the world. It's a fairly mature organization. A few years into our journey as a business, we found ourselves starting to serve smaller clients, and they just obviously weren't as sophisticated and didn't have as much existing infrastructure, either technology or operationally, as firms like JP Morgan or Deutsche Bank. So what we did is we started building our own platform, Hydra, which enabled us to reduce a huge amount of the risk of building greenfield every single time, and enabled our clients to reduce the amount of the layers of technologists they needed to have internally to manage and maintain the platform going forward. And what we were trying to do is make it easier for our clients to differentiate on top of a fairly undifferentiated underlying tech stack. And we talked about the panel earlier talked about open source. One of the drivers for us to build the platform and build it on top of Aeron is that, in my view, capital markets firms like all of the ones you work for are relatively poorly served by the open source projects that come out of the West Coast of the United States of America. They are built for massive horizontal scale, web scale, lower performance profile, lower resiliency requirements. The quality attributes are just not the same as what we have in the front office of capital markets. And so picking up one of those very popular offerings and trying to apply it to a matching engine or a equities trading platform, it's going to result in some tears. And so that's why we built the platform, leveraging some pretty cap markets focused open source in the form of Aeron. And it's that you decided to build on, right, Anvar? You've been in building trading platforms for a long time. What is it that you thought was different about what Aeron and Hydra brought that made you comfortable, right? Because it's a risk, right? You're taking a bet on us as a vendor and on our technology.
Absolutely. The key driver, to your point, was open source. We wanted to have a platform that we owned. It was really a leading driver for us. We didn't want to buy individual components off the shelf and maybe connecting them. We wanted source code. We wanted access to a team that could understand that. And very early on in our conversation, when we first approached Adaptive, the view was, all right, we're going to use Aeron, this really open technology, and we're going to kind of layer on top of that. And what Adaptive did was to say, okay, that's fine, but you should really look at Hydra, which is, it's not open source, but it is open in its mindset. And what is really interesting is that for us, Hydra is not glued into the trading platform as such. We can actually pull it out. If we get to the point where
we fall out,
yep. We can pull it out. And again, from my perspective, from a C-suite perspective, this was very important. We didn't want to be tied to Adaptive in the best possible way.
Of course.
And with Adaptive, we saw a partner that had the same mindset, the same view, and that was really important for us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we built Hydra first and foremost for our own consulting teams to enable them to deliver point solutions for our clients very quickly. One of the things it excels at is sort of a first sprint delivery of having an end-to-end workflow deployed, first of all, implemented, integrated, and then deployed into an environment. You can do that in 2 weeks from a standing start. That's very compelling for a consulting organization. But one of the things we're also very clear about when we implemented Hydra was that it was opinionated only up until a certain layer, and that the client brought their domain model, their business logic, the points that they want to integrate upstream and downstream. They don't need to move to an entirely different data model, for example. There's many vendors out there that will solve your problem, get you a new system in 3 months. But all you need to do is port your entire golden source reference data model to their one. But, well, it's not really a solution, is it? It's just playing a bit of a shell game, and we didn't want that. So to Anvar's point, it is really open by design, and it is a set of development components, fixed gateways, testing, observability, monitoring, all of which many larger firms will have instances of themselves. And there's a way in which there's a migration path for someone like Kepler to move away from Hydra if they want to. We're not trying to be a vendor that kind of you get stuck on forever. We want to be a vendor that is providing you a better value alternative to having to do all of that yourself. And we do think there's something that comes from the platform where it's more than the sum of its parts. I know testing is something we wanted to talk about, which is one of the things we're really proud about. But I think maybe we could go back a little bit and talk about some of the what was day one like for you guys getting started with the technology. It's a mind shift, right?
Yeah, completely. And we chose Adaptive because we had a similar view on how to build trading platforms. The sequenced architecture, building in a certain way was very complementary. So we knew the underlying architecture quite well. But the first thing is that we were trying, although we were building a car together with Adaptive, we were also building the factory that would build the cars. So everything was constantly moving. And I think in the beginning, it was challenging on both sides because everything was just quicksand and everything was moving so quickly. And I think from our side, the internal teams, we knew what was coming, but it was great to see the adaptability of the Adaptive team. in being able to accept that there was no fixed point of building towards, or accept that by the time we finish a certain part, there will be something to latch on to. So that was definitely a bit challenging. And then I think one of the things is obviously for you to get the most value of an engagement, you have to have a clear view of what you're building. And for years, you know, I've been a proponent of the agile mindset, and it's actually, funnily enough, only recently I've started to not doubt that, but think that maybe there is a compromise there, and it's actually to do with something as benign as our house renovation, where our builder is very agile in the sense that he plans probably a week ahead at a time. So when he says, right, we're going to order door handles, can you choose X, Y, and Z? I go, but hold on, I need the full plan to be able to make that decision, right? But as software engineers, that's what we go and tell our business owners to say, well, okay, this week, what do you want me to work on? X, Y, Z. And they say, okay, but hold on, but how is that going to fit with this thing? Oh, don't worry about that thing. You know, so we need something that is in between, that gives you that end picture while also being able to be agile in your thinking. And I think that for us, that was a big change. The other thing was really the dev teams. Very early on, we said, you know what, I don't want an adaptive team and a Kepler team. I want a mixed team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was initially some difficulties there, because from our side, it can be challenging to take on an external team, which are, you know, have a reputation of being experts at what they do. If you also add to the fact that they know the technology really well, then if you're a senior developer, you might think, but hold on, what does this mean? I need to show these adaptive people that I'm really as smart as they are. So we had that a little bit in the beginning, but thankfully, again, the adaptive team were quite open with that. They entertained all the questions that we flood them with. They took our feedback into account, and really, I think after a few weeks, the engagement was just flowing, and I stopped getting involved, which was great for me. So I think that's really the challenge. For us, and a reason we picked adaptive was because I've known Matt for quite a while now. And I knew that we could bring a team together that would work in parallel in a cohesive fashion.
Yeah, I think it's a really valid point. That we don't see the technology as the finishing point of the engagement. The technology that we have, it's a development platform. That means that the users are first and foremost the client's developers. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that the client's developers are bought into the way to build on the platform. If we just come in and do all the work, don't bring people along with us, what happens is that after we leave, 3 to 6 months later, the wheels totally fall off the project. No one on the client side is bought into the architectural decisions that were made, the approach that was made, the why of the system architecture, and that ends up in a very bad place a little bit later down the line. It's something we've learned, I wouldn't say at great expense, but we've had a few painful lessons, that it's the developer experience of the client and making them feel empowered. To the point you're making, Anvar, we know that an external firm coming in with a silver bullet platform and a set of developers, like consultants get the reputation they do for a somewhat deserved reason. They come in, solve the problems, don't deal with any of the ramifications and leave again. It's a really easy job from that perspective, right? What we have to do is make sure that the client feels like their development team is going to be empowered by what we're delivering. And that's easier said than done. That is indeed what we try to do. Anvar, it will be good to touch on some of the benefits that you're seeing from the platform now that you're in production. We've talked about testing. It'd be great to spend a bit of time talking about that.
Yeah. For us, again, going back to agility, we knew that manual testing would be challenging for us. We wanted a platform that was deterministic. We wanted something that once we send an event in, we know what we're going to get out. So with that in mind, and the fact that Hydra could deliver that, we then took this idea of doing automated end-to-end testing that Hydra provided, and together with the adaptive team, we went to town with it. So every piece of technology through our trading system is fully automated in terms of testability. And what this gives us is really the confidence to move forward at pace. We've extended the framework now, so it goes all the way to the UI, so we can do those end-to-end tests. And we look at our ability to debug our platform. It's completely transformed the game, because we get a bug, we can reproduce it locally by sending in the events. And now, if it's something that is a little bit more tricky, we can do the end-to-end UI test scenario set up. We can see that it fails, we can fix it, and we can see that it works now. And that really allows us to scale this up across the board. The other benefit is it goes hand in hand with the testability, but the replayability is really important for us. And we've had to change our mindsets in how we develop software. To create fully deterministic components can actually be quite tricky. But the benefit is huge, because for us, replicating prod is trivial, and it doesn't matter which hardware we're running on. If we're running it in the cloud, if we're running it on-prem, the result will always be the same. And in fact, we have test cases that covers when it's not the same, because it means that we've done something that's wrong.
Yeah, you're not working with the model of the system. So conscious that we've talked a lot about this thing, Hydra, and we haven't put a slide up to show people. A picture is worth 1,000 words, as they say. So what is Hydra? Hydra is to us a development platform that contains within it a range of components and capabilities that really enable development teams, operational teams, designers, requirements engineers to deliver software very, very quickly. And to Anvar's point about testing, maintain that velocity over the long-term life of the project. One of the big results of software development, software engineering research over the last 10, 15, 20 years is that the way you can provably maintain velocity in the late stages of a project, when there's a huge amount of code base, when developers have changed, there's not enough residual knowledge within the team, is through automated testing and full testing coverage. And so that's one of the things that Hydra enables. On day one of a project, you have out of the box the infrastructure to do outside-in black box cucumber testing. Now, many development teams talk about outside-in black box cucumber testing as this sort of like utopian state that if they suddenly got left alone by the business for 6 months, they could go and implement. Well, it never happens, right? It absolutely never happens. If you are a successful project, you are going to get more feature requests, and you're never going to get time to implement any of this sort of additional tooling that will make your life better. And if you're not a successful project, no one cares, you're going to get shut down. It doesn't matter anyway. So there's no path forward where you get to do this later. So what we bring out of the box is a whole bunch of production quality infrastructure and tooling that you wouldn't usually spend time investing in the early stage of the project before you've proven success. And that adds a lot of value. The idea is that your business logic, single-threaded deterministic business logic, is portable. You can rip it out and put it somewhere else. The concept of single-threaded deterministic code is sometimes a weird one for developers to get their heads around, but it actually results in a very portable business logic and domain model. So you're not coupling yourselves to our implementation platform. You can take it and run it somewhere else if you choose. It's relatively easy to do. That said, the tooling that we have in Hydra, the DSLs, the domain-specific languages to enable model-driven development, the ability to drive client and service proxies, let development teams move very quickly. And then as Anvar talked about, what we can do once you're running in production is we can snapshot the system, replicate the state exactly in a dev or UAT environment, and replicate the bug, fix it, and then apply the patch into production. No more trailing through log files trying to figure out what went on with your system. The whole thing is designed to be deterministic. And when something isn't deterministic, that's a bug, and you need to go and fix it. The integration gateways, obviously, we're not opinionated about the domain model, and you've done a bit of integration into other systems. How do you guys think about where Hydra fits in the upstream downstream flow of your market data, orders, execution services?
Yeah, so it's not a wholesale replacement of everything we do. We do look at what is important, what's going to drive change and revenue ultimately for us. And so Hydra sits in that domain. But there are other bits and bobs that we use that are very specific in what they have and what they can provide. And so the benefit we see is that Hydra is actually really easy to integrate with all of these things. This architectural pattern of gateways is really straightforward to us. We have a lot of post-trade, we have a lot of back office, and we're able to take this ultra low latency pipe and connect it seamlessly to those systems and still get that traceability, which is very important to us. For us, we're actually looking at taking those systems and putting them into Hydra as well, but in a slightly different way. So from an integration point of view, it's very straightforward. Hydra is opinionated, but it has really allowed us to integrate in the way we want. And for anyone who's been in my teams, I have very strong opinions about how to do things. And so Hydra allows us to do that. And again, going back to a quick note on the replayability and the snapshot, for the first few months of the project, we didn't even have logging. It wasn't even important to us because we got enough visibility from using these events. So logging for us was just not important. And this coupled to how we integrate with our UIs has been transformative because, again, going back to Hydra, having that web gateway means that we don't have to do that. I've been in so many companies where the first thing we did was to build a WebSocket gateway or a long polling gateway. It's not fun. I don't want to do that anymore. Hydra just takes that away. And the fact that we can have, using this domain-specific language, we can build a model that is low latency, garbage-free, and have it go all the way up to the JavaScript UI layer is fantastic.
Exactly. Thank you very much for the kind words, Anvar. Much appreciated. To flip it around a bit for a second, what is from a business value add perspective for Kepler, there's a shift in strategy here, right? You're moving away from vendor point solutions from a buy model to a build model. Talk me through that.
Well, we spend a lot of time talking to our clients, and again, they want agility. They want us to move fast. They don't want us to break things. The main conversation usually ends up to being around technology and whether there is an investment in the technology and how we can best provide those services. Now, for us, the main benefit has been that being able to talk to our clients about sequenced architecture, which is a very technical subject, has actually opened up a lot of discussions that we just didn't have previously. And for us, the point we're trying to highlight is building doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to mean you have 100 developers, you have to completely change company cultures, provide beanbags and pizza. It can just be a small little team that delivers things quickly.
Yeah, that's right. It is worth, I think one of the benefits that people people are hesitant about getting into building their own trading infrastructure. One of the reasons for the reluctance to is their memory of what the teams looked like in the early 2000s. One of the first projects I worked on in financial service was an FX single dealer platform. I think it was a team of 60 people. You wouldn't need a team of 60 people today. You'd need a team of 10 or 15. It's just that the amount of complexity that you have to implement yourself, the amount of code you have to worry about yourself has just been crushed all the way down through the use of some open source, our platform, other vendor platforms. It's just got a lot easier. So a few questions here. What type of metrics do you use to measure performance? Are you comfortable sharing any before and after?
We look at latency. Latency is very important to us. We look at smarter router. We're looking at between 1 to 5 milliseconds. That is 5 is the upper limit. That's really important for us. We look at throughput. Once you start putting market data on this, you're looking at 100,000 to 1 million events per second. So you need to be able to scale that. And the final one, which is a bit harder to quantify, is how quickly can we turn around something for our clients, because they will want to have slight deviations from each other. The dream scenario is that all clients want the same thing. We're not in that business. We're in the business of being bespoke, being white label, understanding our clients. So it is that first conversation to delivery. And in the previous company, my record was 6 weeks from first conversations to production environment running, taking orders. I think at Adaptive, we built, with the Adaptive, the first UI, which is an algo monitoring application, took 88 days. The second one, which is an ETF OMS, took 15. So that's an important metric for us.
You'll be finishing before you start. Which areas of the project did you under or overestimate? It's still software development. It's still high degrees of uncertainty. Were there any particular areas you felt that the problems came up initially, and did they repeat?
I thought that everyone around me would have the same passion for the general architecture. And what we found was initially I really had to spend a lot of times with our developers to understand why we're doing this. This isn't handing over their skill sets to Adaptive and buying it in. It's not a reflection on what they do. There's also some pushback of saying, hey, Aaron is fine, but Hydra is not open. Why are we going with a closed solution? So it took a lot of, I guess, conversations to get through that. And I think maybe I should have done it slightly differently had I the option to go back and do it again.
Yeah, fair enough. Hindsight. So just the final 30 seconds, 45 seconds before we hand over to the next topic. I think, Anvar, you've touched on what the main driver in your desire to own the platform was, right? You wanted control of your own destiny. And it helps you differentiate via that offering to the market, to your own clients. They've told you very clearly that they want to see technical innovation, so you have to own the platform. And to just quickly answer those last two questions, does Hydra support messages like API and fixed-driven events? It does. It is a backend as well as UI-driven system, so that you can integrate with existing systems via that. And what is the support model? I won't go into that now. Please come and chat to us next door in a break. Any other questions from the floor? No? Well then, thank you very much for your time. I hope you found it interesting. Thank you very much, Anvar.
Thank you.